Okay, so this is going to be my day in a life video. This is going to be a long one, as you can tell by the minutes. If you go up into the corner of your screen, there's 3 dots. If you push that and you push speed, you can speed me up 1.5 times, which you might need to, because I'm just doing this off the cuff, so there's going to be some pauses and things like that. I would love to do a real day in a life video where I actually show you rather than tell you, because showing is better than telling. But again, because of the park that I'm at, I can't really do that for a few reasons. One, people don't really like to be filmed. It makes the relationship a little bit different, especially with this particular community. And this is a phone I worked very hard for, and I cannot pull it out. It shows everybody what I have. Oh, and gives some people the idea, what else does she have, which makes a personal safety issue for me. So I really want to, I would love to, because I get why you want to see that. And again, showing is better than telling, but I just simply can't right now. So I'm going to tell you about what happened yesterday. I made that video for you. I woke up in the morning, okay? I buttoned up my tent. I have this process that I do with my tent where I've got my tent and I've got a tarp over it. If I can edit some footage at least of that, like a picture of that, I will try to do that in this video. But I button my tent up. I've got my tent, and then I've got a brown tarp over my tent. The brown tarp matches a billboard sign that's right behind it. I am between the library and the municipal office. I'm not trying to do that as a big flip off or anything like that. I'm not trying to be in anybody's face. I actually asked the library if they would mind if I could be there. The area was a complete disaster. It was filthy. It took me 2 days to clean it up. There was actually an actual toilet sitting out there amongst the, strollers and just all sorts of broken furniture, blah, blah, blah. So I've got my tent. I've got my brown tarp, so I'm a little camouflage. Every morning when I get up, I do just put things together. It's not like making my bed or anything, but I'll put things together. And then when I get outside my tent, I am very particular. Everybody has their things. I'm OCD, if you want to call it that. So and it helps me get out of my depression to be very organized and clean. So not body wise, but at least my surroundings and my environment. So I get everything set the exact way I want it. I leave the tent. I try to put my shoes on the outside because there's all this dirt and stuff. Try not to get that in the tent. I make sure that the tent is zipped. Like, my zipper has a problem, so sometimes it splits open, so I have to sit there and jerry rig it, and I make sure that that's zipped. And then I cover the tarp. So really, when you approach my area, it is just, I call it the brown dome, or brown igloo, whatever you want. And then I fold it in a very particular way in the front. That way I know when I come back at night, because I'm out either looking for or taking care of or helping my friend, or I'm now responding to your comments and I'm in the library and I'm able to do the work that I need to be doing for the channel. Either way, when I come back at night, if it's folded like that, I can tell if somebody's tampered with it or tried to get in my tent. I have a lock on the front of my tent, okay? But it's a tent. I mean, a butter knife could open that. So, but anyways, these are the things that I try to do. I do not have anything valuable inside the tent. The only thing valuable I have is what I'm talking to right now, and I have a little iPad that I work on. Those are the only 2 things I have valuable. They are in my backpack, and I will talk about those items and how I got them in a later video. But I carry that with me all day long, all day. So it does put a bit of strain on my back. I do wake up, I go to bed, I have achy bones. My legs hurt, blah, blah, blah. That's another video. But, anyways, in my tent, I don't have anything of value. I have some water. I have a little bag of food. I have my bag that I carry my clothes in. I have 2 pairs of clothes, one to wear, one to wash. Technically, I have 3 because I also have a 3rd pair that I go to church in. So, I have that in a bag. I have my water bottle in a bag. And then I have that little bag of food, and then really it's just my bedding and my tent. So I have a big blanket, I have a very thin blanket, I have a very thin sleeping bag, and I have a very thin pillow, which I hate. But that's all I've got, and I like it that way, to be honest. I do not want a lot of stuff that hurts my brain. It builds the depression. Less is more for me. I'm a minimalist. It makes me feel free. So anyways, I buttoned up my tent. So I wake up in the morning, I buttoned up my tent, folded it the way I fold it, and then I'm out of there. Let's say this is 7:30 in the morning. I'm out of there to go look for my friend. I had spent the last 72 hours looking for her in a variety of spots. I first went to one spot that she said that she goes up and down these alleys, so I walked these alleys for hours. And then I knew that some people were up at this motel, and I knew that she was supposedly going with this guy to the motel. So I went up to the motel, ended up talking to a bunch of people. Nobody had seen her. I don't have the guy's real name, as I explained in my video yesterday, so I could not find him. Anyways, and the next day, it was pouring rain. I did go around the park, and I did go up down a few alleyways, but still could not find her. I did talk to a bunch of people who had phone numbers for other people who actually did have phones to be able to contact her, but none of that came about. So, you know, it's a lot of looking for her, but in reality, when I meet somebody who might have information on her, then they want to talk for a good 2 hours, and they just need to unload and vent, or they might need help with something, and I do that, you know. So it takes all day while I'm trying to get to her. Anyways, so that morning, 7:30, I'm out of there. And because those 2 previous days I had worked these different areas that I thought she might be, I went to another park or another little marshy area. She wasn't there. So then that morning, yesterday, got up at 7:30, and I went down to a different marsh where I know she stays with this particular individual. And she's been there before. The video I told you, it's not a real safe place, but it is beautiful. I do love the scenery of it. I did the video while I was there because I was thinking about it, and I had like only 15 minutes. My battery was dying before I had to meet the organization that was supposedly going to help her. So she was not there. She was not anywhere to be found. This marsh is by a road where there's, let's say, I want to say, and I'm a really bad count, but let's say 40 RVs, boom, 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 along this major road. Okay, just all along there. 40 RVs, vans, cars, and then a whole bunch of tents as well. So I walk up and down a few. I call her name and the guy's name that I was hoping she was with. Knock on a few doors, but not too many, because it's not a real safe area. And then this blocking the sun. Now I need a little more light. And then I went and made the video, and then I go back to the park. We had a 10 o'clock appointment with an organization called PATH. There's 4 organizations there that let's say 5, but 2 of which are not organizations that can actually get you housing. The 3 organizations that will get you housing you know, say that they want to provide all this stuff. One is called PATH, the other one is called LASA, and another one is called SHARE. The other 2 who don't really offer housing, which I didn't know at first, it's called Grassroots Neighbors, and then Street Watch. So Street Watch really just comes and they set up a table. You can charge up your phones, and they'll get you a tent if you've lost your tent or something's happened or whatever, and they set up that way. The Grassroots Neighbors, I guess they just deliver food, but the main lady, and I thought they were doing housing all this time, right? So that's how terrible the communication is. But the main lady is a sociologist, and so I also figured that she could help the situation, but it's not how it turned out. Anyways, that will be in another video, because I do want to do a video simply on those organizations and my experience with them. But on just this day, I arrived there. I'm supposed to be there at 10. She's supposed to be there at 10. Okay. She's not in her tent, and I knew that. But I thought she might still be at that motel, and I just needed the guy's real name that they knew, right? They knew, but also another person did know, and that person happened to show up that morning. So I wrote his name down on my hand. So now I knew his name, whether they wanted to give it to me or not, okay? So this organization, PATH, P-A-T-H, right, shows up, and it's 10 o'clock and they're just moseying around. So I go to them. They didn't even go to her tent. They didn't show up there, nothing. I go to them. They're in this parking lot far away. There's 2 parking lots in this park. I go to that far parking lot, which I am not near. I'm near the other one. And I talked to them. Hey, you guys were gonna meet with me and her and da-da-da-da-da. Oh, yeah. Okay, give us some time and we'll be right over there. Just wait for us. Okay, well, you know. So I go over, and so this other guy who gave me the guy's real name, he's doing a documentary film, okay, and he filmed me a few days ago. I'll tell you about that in another video. But he suddenly showed up, and I was not expecting that. We were going to meet the previous day, but it was raining. So he came that day, and I'm sorry, the lighting's probably going to get bad for you. It's getting dark. What can I do? I don't know how to work this phone to turn on whatever, the night mode that they supposedly have. So I hope this works. I'm going to be talking the whole time, and I can't check and see if it works. So anyway, so he showed up, and I was not expecting that. And honestly, it's very, and I told him this is very hard for me. I'm not a typical woman. I do not multitask very well at all. I'm more like a man, and I can only think about one thing at a time. And I'm sorry if that sounded sexist, but that's what I'm told about men versus women. Well, I don't multitask. I can only do one thing at a time, and it really stresses me out when both of those things are important to me. So it did really stress me out when he arrived. And I said, let's do this later, because I really have to take care of this and be aware of these people, and I need to keep eyes on them. Because honestly, I don't trust that they've told me before, we'll be back in 5 minutes, we'll do this, we'll do that. No, doesn't happen. So I'm trying to keep eyes on him, and we're talking, and he's like, well, this is the information I want, so let me just push record. So he starts recording me, blah, blah, blah. Time is passing. Now, at least I'm doing something with him, so time is being somewhat effective. But yeah, 2.5 hours, right? 2.5 hours. So they're over there, and I don't know if they've come or gone or anything else, so I keep running up to different people, asking them, okay, have you seen them? And, oh yeah, they're still over there, da-da-da-da-da. So 2.5 hours I wait. So now he decided to do just this little extra bit of filming, and so we went to this different spot where I could keep closer eye on him. And as they're walking past, he's filming me. I'm like, can you just give me 5 minutes now? Because now I'm just gonna finish this. 5 minutes. And they're like, oh yeah. So we're gonna meet you in the parking lot. And they promised me they'd meet me in the parking lot, and they would take me to that motel, okay? Motel 6. They promised me they would take me to the motel so I could get this guy's name, and we could call him, you know, through the front desk and stuff like that, or through PATH, because they have all of his information, and we could access him, and then my friend would be with him, is the hope, right? We'll wait for you. Sure, we'll wait for you. So they go to the parking lot, I wrap it up, and I might have taken 10 minutes, okay? But they took 2.5 hours, and I'm just saying, I don't know how long I took, but it wasn't very long. We wrap it up, I go back to the parking lot, they left. They left me. On purpose. They left me. This fits everything that I've known about them the whole time I've been here. So did it surprise me necessarily? I'm not surprised. Did it make me very angry? It made me very angry. Every time they want to blame it on my friend not being there, which I get, because she wasn't there, but she's got some mental challenges going on, she's got some trauma going on, and quite frankly, they've done this so many times, she doesn't trust them anymore, and she has every right not to. If you heard all the stories of everybody in this park, they do not trust these organizations anymore. They do not fulfill their promises, okay? And now you're talking about, and this is some people who are functioning. you're talking about a person who does not function, right? And they're frustrated that I'm even getting involved. Well, who are you? You know? Well, I'm somebody who has her back. I've been here for a whole month and I'm trying to get this done. And I have her back in a way that nobody else here is going to have her back, because she's a personal friend of mine, right? Anyway. So, they leave me. They have 2 of their people there, still there in the parking lot. They're like, well, what's going on? Well, what's going on? I explain it to them, which honestly, I shouldn't have to, okay? But I explain it to them. They don't get it. So I explain it again. They don't get it. I explain it again. They don't get it. So finally, I'm like, okay, look, the fact of the matter is that your person, and I don't want to throw her name out there because, you know, although I should, I'm going to say the captain of Path. So this captain, this female, your person was supposed to be here. She was supposed to take me to the motel. 100%. She told me this was going to happen and she left. So you need to call her, find out where she is, and I'm going to come there, right? So they call her and they walk off. Now they do this all the time. They call their people and then they walk off so that there's no conversation in between, right? And then that way they can manipulate the whole process, the whole conversation. They can be in complete control. So I go up to the guy and I'm like, no, this is not going to happen. I need to know where she is, and you need to tell her that I'm coming there. You know? Oh, she's at the motel. Tell her I'm upset that she left me and she better be there when I get there. And then I turned to this camera guy because they didn't want to be filmed. And lo and behold, this organization is suddenly showing up more when there's cameras. Now they're feeling accountable. They don't want to be filmed. So I turned to him and I said, look, you want some footage? You want some real footage? If you'll take me in your car, you can go up there and you can film this whole interaction with me. You know? So he did. Hop in the car. By car, it's maybe a 8-minute drive or something. By bus, you know, it's an hour. So it's 2 different buses and stuff like that. An hour if you're lucky, if the second bus even shows up. So, but I've done this multiple times. Anyways, so I get in his car, we drive up there. And I'm just gonna check to make sure that this is even filming, okay? I'm really sorry. Just bear with me a second. Okay, you can see me, so I'm not just talking to myself. One more check. It's filming. Okay, sorry. I wish I could just edit that, but right now it's not gonna happen. So, anyways, so we hop in the car, we get there. She and the other guy, which I already had a conflict with him, and I will tell you about that another time. But, so I'm very grateful that he was on the far side of the car, because I did not want to talk to him. She rolls down the window and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, what's going on with you? Why did you leave me? Why did you leave me? You know? And she starts raising her voice. She gets out of the car. She's like raising her voice. She's really upset. Then she sees the guy filming. She calms down, which is good, because I don't want to have the aggression, right? And I did get upset too, because then she's like, oh, we can't tell you anything, the HIPAA rules, and you know, you shouldn't be concerned about your friend, you should only be concerned about yourself, and and I'm like, I am concerned about my friend 100% first, because she is the most vulnerable person in that park. And you're putting there are people in the motels, okay? Not everybody have they failed, but these people in the hotels still don't trust them, because they have failed them multiple times, but now they did end up in a hotel, but they still want to keep their tent and everything else up, because they do not trust that this is going to go any further than maybe 2 weeks stay. Okay, so anyways, she's like, HIPAA rules, we can't share anything about your friend, blah blah blah. Well, she's saying that for the benefit of the camera, because 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, when I first met her, even though I had been there for a whole month, she was willing to share that stuff with me, because she did understand, because I was really upset. I'm like, okay, look, seriously, you want somebody who has mental challenges and has all this trauma and has been raped multiple times in this park, and she's dealing with all of this stuff, and she's the most vulnerable person here, and you've been working with her, you say, for about 3 months, okay? And you're saying that she needs her birth certificate and everything else, and you have that in your hands, and she's been asking about it for the last 3 weeks that I've been here. I have not seen you guys one time. One time. And you think that you're just going to keep working with her, and suddenly, somehow, even though it hasn't worked in 3 months, somehow her mindset's going to change and you're going to be able to just help her? She doesn't trust you even. And it's obviously not effective. The definition of insanity, continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. They've been doing this supposedly for 3 months and they've got no result. So I'm here, I'm a friend, she can verify for me, she can tell me that I have the right to have all of her HIPAA, whatever, her medical information or whatever, help speak with her. But you can't bounce me out of the whole conversation because you're not going to get anywhere and you don't care about her. You're not getting anywhere. So anyway, she just got really, really upset with me, got in the car, slammed the door, and they just drove off. So now my friend could still be in that room. They're gone. So where's her hotel stay that you promised? You promised you would not fail her. You promised you would not fail her 10 days ago, then a week ago, then 5 days ago, then 3 days ago. You promised you would not fail her. So I'm upset. I need a break. The documentarian guy, talks to me for a while. I started crying. I get myself composed. I go inside the motel. Now, because I have the guy's first and last name, which they don't know I have, but I got. So I went in there and I talked to the receptionist at the motel, and she calls him, which I'm friendly with the guy. The guy is always friendly with me. Hey, Sage, what's going on? Yo, 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 yo. He gets on the phone with the receptionist. No, I don't want her up here. No, I don't know where her friend is, and I don't want anybody calling me or talking to me again. Click, basically. Like, that was his attitude. And it took me by surprise, but it didn't. It didn't because what I did not know is he's not allowed to have somebody in his room. So I might have got him in trouble, and I am very sorry for that. I'm very sorry for that. So I can understand why he would respond that way. But I also really, truly believe he wouldn't have responded that way unless Path contacted him before me, which is the reason they left me in that parking lot. He wouldn't have responded that way. He would have been, oh yeah, send her up. Hey, Sage, what's going on? Yeah, I haven't seen your friend for, if that was the case, haven't seen her for a while. He would have been cool with it. Path left early so that they could get to that motel, so that they could confront him having somebody in that room, and I would be left out of the loop. And he was upset either because of being involved, or he was threatened by them that he would be ousted if he was sharing a room with anybody. Now their come from is, see, your friend doesn't want a room. She doesn't want a hotel room. You have to accept that. Oh, really? Because the minute that guy got a hotel room, she was beelining it with him because she trusted that guy. You guys have lied to her, lied to her, lied to her. She said the other day that she wanted a hotel room right in front of one of these volunteers. At first she said no, and then she said yes. And she said no because she's sick of all this. Then she said yes because she's coming to her senses, right? So yes, I want a hotel room. And then the girl's like, well, give us another 5 days. You just said that you could get one tonight. You said you could get one the night before. Why all of a sudden 5 days? Like, it's such a lie. It's such a lie within the same conversation even. So anyway, so now I'm out of luck because he doesn't want me to go up there. I don't know if he's just covering. I don't know if he's upset with me, which is kind of beside the point because I really just want to know where my friend is. But I don't know if how to find her. So I go up to somebody else's room, and again, I don't want to use names, so this man, I will just describe him. He's got health challenges. He had a business. The reason he's homeless, he had a business. It was going very well. It was functioning very well. He was doing really great. That's very redundant, but that's how great he was doing. COVID hit, and his whole business just kind of slowed and then shut off. He also has health problems, which got worse. Now he's down to one lung. So COVID, he has to be very, very careful around people. It just slammed him financially. He spent 4 months in the hospital. It killed him in every which way. He's now homeless. Okay? They took months and months to get him a hotel room. They keep dinking him around. He wants his tent and his tarp and everything still up in that park because he does not trust them. So, but he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. I mean, he has a bit of a past, but you know. So, and as it gets darker, I will do another check to just see that you can see me. But I go up there and he's just all upset, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And he's like, Path came and told me that I have to leave the room, and they weren't even gonna like get me another one, but they did finally get me another one, but I have to pay $100 deposit. I don't have $100 deposit. Last time they told me to pay a deposit and they said that I would get it back. That was 5 months ago. I'm never gonna see that money again. I get it. He goes, but you know, it's 7 blocks away and I've got all my stuff, and I thought that they were going to at least help me with a ride. I'm not going to take the bus and go back and forth because of my health problems and stuff like that. I can't walk all that way back and forth. And I'm like, well, I'll help you. I'll carry some of it with you and stuff. He's like, I really don't want to do that. I'm going to have to call somebody else and see if I can access a car and stuff like that. And I'm like, why wouldn't they get you? They just brought 2 people to this hotel and they had an empty car. And he just flipped a lid. He's like, you're kidding me. They were downstairs. They only told me like half an hour ago that I have to leave within a half an hour. It's like, I can't pack this room in half an hour. And they were downstairs when they were on the phone with me. They were literally in this parking lot. They could have offered me a ride, right? And so he was upset. After he calmed down and just hearing all of his stories, he was just venting. He hadn't seen my friend. So we talked for a while. I tried to soothe him and that sort of thing, and kind of take a break for myself as well. And then I left and I went downstairs, and luckily enough, I found another person from the park. So this was somebody who was also very close to my friend. So I was like, have you seen her? And I'm sure this girl is sick of me because I'm always going around. Have you seen my friend? Have you seen my friend? Like, this is all I talk about with a lot of these people. And this particular girl really loves my friend and went out of her way to help her quite a lot. And she's frustrated with her too. So I'm not really frustrated with her. I'm not. I just want the best for her. So, and I know she's in a hard spot. So, anyways, this girl, I'm like, well, do you know the guy's number that she's in the room with? Because I can only talk through the receptionist, and I really don't know what kind of tone he has right now. And if you could kind of soften the blow for him and apologize for me if he did get in trouble. But I really need to know if my friend is truly with him. And he won't tell the receptionist that, I'm sure. And he's not going to tell Path that now because you're not supposed to have somebody in the room. So can you talk to him, because he'll tell you. And so she calls, but apparently in the last 24 hours he sold his phone to somebody else. So they're like, well, I need to try to find him, and then I'll text you back, and da-da-da-da-da. So I'm waiting there for like 20 minutes just for this, ring around the rosy, and this girl's talking to somebody else. So I excuse myself because I did interrupt them, and I'm gonna check to see if this is filming, and I'm getting cold. All right, it's good enough for me if it's good enough for you. So, so today was like the best weather ever, meaning because it's been cold for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm such a baby in the cold. So today was awesome. And yesterday morning was really nice. So, well, yesterday was nice. I just wasn't enjoying any of it. So anyway, so yeah, so I'm waiting there for her, waiting for this person to get back. They're not getting back. They're not getting back. They're not getting back. So I tell her, I say, you know what? There's nothing more I can do here because I really don't know anybody else. So I am going to go back to the tent, back to the park, and see if she might possibly be there. And so as I leave though, I can't leave, you know, 'cause I really believe that she's with him. So I believed that. And so I actually went to another hotel where I could take my phone out because the battery was going to die. And I asked them if I could charge it. At first they turned me down, which happens quite a lot. But somehow they had goodness in their heart as I was walking out the door, which I was very grateful for. They let me charge my phone. I just said a prayer while I was in there, and I was like, God, can you help me find her? Can you know, if you really want me to find her, just open up a path right now if you can. And so I left that hotel, and the dude was sitting right there on his bike. Like, seriously, that was an instant answer to prayer. Like, it was incredible. So I'm just like, thank you so much. So I walk up to him and call him by his pseudo name, and I'm like, dude, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful, and please let me apologize. Like, I'm so sorry if you got into any trouble, da 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 da. And he was in a bad mood, you know, and I'm like, but I really just need to know if she's with you because I'm seriously worried about her. And she had that appointment to, you know, this morning at 10, which I told both of you about before, you know, she ever left, even 3 days ago. And I thought I'd see her within that 3 days, so I was surprised for that. But yeah, she had that appointment. He's like, I know about the appointment, but she hasn't been with me for the last 2 days. So, sorry, you know. And he was in a bad mood, so I cut it kind of short with him, but I apologized again, and he told me that, so I walked away. But there's still a piece of me, you know, and this is the street, you know, you learn stuff. So piece of me, I don't know if that's true. So instead of leaving, I decided to go back into the motel, because while I talked to him, I was like, oh, well, could you give me your room number, and I'll come back. If I can't find her today, then I'll come back tomorrow, you know, and can I have your new phone number, and if I don't see you in your room or whatever, then I'll call you. And so he did give me both of those. So he rode away on his bike, and I went back to the motel, and I went to that room number, and I knocked on the door, and I put my ear to the door. And I knocked like 6-7 times, and I put my ear to the door 7 times to hear if there was any, you know, rustling around in there. And there wasn't. So I did feel confident that he was being straight with me, or at least she wasn't there at the time, but I felt confident that he was being straight with me. So I left there, and I went to another person's room to see if I could use their phone to call the other girl to see if I could, you know, if she had heard back from anybody else, and so on and so forth. So I go to this other girl's room. She's 21 years old. She's on the streets. She was brought out here to California under false pretenses. She thought she'd have a place to stay and a job, and the job was actually pretty much pimping her out, if you want to just put it point blank. It was all about relationships, and it was all about the sex acts that she was going to do, and she didn't want to do them. So, but it was a long haul, and she was assaulted multiple times. And so after many months and finally getting out of that situation, which was very hard for her to get out of, she honestly feels like she would have been trafficked. And she was in San Diego by the border of Mexico, so possibly never seen again. and she's only 21, and she had a breakdown, you know, the 2 days before when I was also looking for my friend, you know, just sharing her story and how hard things have been. And so yeah, so it led her to homelessness, right? Her family can't really help her, and just all the trauma. It's, you know. So here she is, but I you know, what a rock solid girl. She's trying to get herself out of it, and she's not willing to sell her body, you know, and it's not, I'm not going to downgrade people who do. I'm not about downgrading anybody per se. Obviously I don't believe in the act, but anyways, I'm proud of her for being staunch on that, and because she could have been sold. So anyway, so I'm with her, and I called the other girl, and she's like, oh yeah, I just saw your friend, you know. She's like, if you look across from the motel, there's this big, like, kind of triangle, trees and like some, you know, random grass and stuff like that, right where the freeway entrance and exit is and stuff like that. It's a big triangle. There's a bunch of tents over there. She's over there with my friend so-and-so. And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, great, awesome. And I'm like, I asked her, you know, what kind of person is this, and is he okay? And she vouched for him. So, and she's done prostitution, and she's had a very hard life, so vouching for somebody from her. She's been sexually assaulted multiple times as well. So this is the other person, okay? I just told you about 2 separate women. So her vouching for the guy meant something. So anyways, I go over there. I couldn't find her initially. I did see her and talk to her very briefly. It was getting dark. She didn't want to come with me. So, but at least then I knew where she was. When it got dark in this area, it was really dark. It's not a place that I want her to be. But she was running off somewhere, really, and she didn't want to sit there and talk for a minute. And she's like, I'll come back to the tent, I'll come back to the tent. So at some point, but yeah. So I'm gonna go back up and visit her, and hopefully she'll still be in that spot at least. Or, sorry, I just got way off because I know what everybody said in the comment videos before, and you know, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves, and so that's what's in my head right now, because I know what all of you are thinking. But I have to tell you straight up, I get that, okay? I do get that. Now, my personality is to still help. I came out of the womb like that, okay? That's my personality. And I will put other people before myself. It's my thing. So, but I understand the idea, 2 people drowning, you just both drowned. I totally get that. I also understand that you can't help someone who doesn't want help themselves. I understand all these analogies, and I do. And I don't mean to say it in a curt way, because they are all true. It's good, simple advice. But for me, and in this situation, I think when somebody has a mental illness and so much trauma that they cannot make, that they're not making any sort of good or wise decisions because that is just weighing on them. How can you just walk away from that and say, oh, well, they're making their choices, right? I mean, you have to, in a sense, because our laws, our country is like that. I can't force her to do anything. But morally, I can't walk away from that. Going back to my friend, so I talked to her for just a little bit. It at least soothed me that she was around, that she was honestly alive, right? Not that I really thought she was passed or anything like that, but it's scary. It's scary, and anything can happen. So at least I knew where she was with. I met the guy a little bit, and chatted a little bit with him. Like I said, they were running basically to get some food before their store closed or something like that. And so I was like, okay, I'll come back and talk to you later, but please do come back to the park at some point, and let's try to make another appointment with this organization, even though I know you don't trust them and I'm upset with them too. And so they left, and there was only a little bit of sunlight left. So right across on the other side of that hotel, you know, from the first guy that I told you about, that I went to his hotel room, the one with the one lung and the business that failed because of COVID, went away because of COVID. He's got a view of the other side of the freeway entrance and just this open plot of land. Now, I saw that view when I went to visit him a while ago, and there was a big encampment there. There was 2 huge tents with tarp, and the guy had a ton of stuff and things like that. When I went to his hotel room, somebody had donated some clothes to me, and but like I said, I can only carry so much, so I do like to keep it real simple. And so I went to his hotel room for actually just to make sure that somebody else needed a tent, and his tent was there, and I went to see if somebody else could use his tent and if he was okay with that. But because of his one lung thing and his cleanliness standards, I didn't know if he would be okay with that, and I wanted his permission first. That's why I went to his room, because it was also convenient that he might actually have a mirror that I could see how these clothes fit me. So I tried on one, and I just kept the t-shirt that you just saw. So kept that t-shirt, got rid of my old t-shirt, which was really great because it was white and it had all sorts of stains on it, and I never liked it, and it had holes all over. So anyways, the leftover clothing, I decided that I would donate to this encampment across the road. He warned me about going over there, and I get it, but you know, we do have volunteers and these organizations and people donating stuff at this park only because it's a big political spin, okay? So that's the reality in short. So most of the homeless people in other places aren't getting some of the food that's being brought there, aren't getting the clothing that's being brought there, or the organizations or anything like that. Now, I don't take advantage of everything at that park, and again, over time you will understand why. I have a way that I want to do it, and I'll share that with you, but you'll have to be patient. I'm going to try to stay on topic of the video that I present. So anyway, I go over there. So he warns me not to go over there, and I went over there anyways, and I just donated these clothes to this guy. So I got to see the encampment. Well, now, okay, that was in the past. Now, while I was up in his hotel room, he's like, look at that place. It burned down last night. The whole thing was gone. I mean, this was big. The whole thing was gone. Like, the only thing that was almost left behind was metal and plastic chairs. Like, it was crazy at how much stuff he had, and it's gone. So I decided, because I'm doing a different video called The Community on Fire or something like that. So I went over there to film, okay? Now, this is me really trying, because I really do want to do daily videos. I did have a plan, like I've mentioned many times, so I won't go into that, but I had a plan and I wanted to upload daily, and I just can't, because I am, you can see how this whole day, 7:30, and now the sun's going down. The sun goes down here, let's say, at 7 o'clock at night. So this is 12 hours I've been doing this whole thing, okay? So because I had a little bit of light, because it fit in with the title of the video I wanted as well, and it's right there, and I left clothing there, like this is something to me. So I went over there. There was another neighbor, and so I went over and talked to him for a while, and I just told him I'm not going to film you or anything like that. But because the hotel was there, from people from my park, you know, they could see through these windows. So I had to be behind a tree, and then I stacked all my stuff up, and I put this this hat there so that you could not see my phone or anything. And I didn't even really want them to see me, and that's why I took off the sweater too, because they're used to the sweater. So I tried to make this as covert as possible so that they couldn't see, because again, my safety issues. And you'll see in that video, but some woman came up and literally tossed all of my stuff aside, including my phone. You know, my phone goes flying. Luckily, I grabbed it before it hit the ground, but it totally infuriated me. And I'm gonna leave that for that video, okay? Watch that video. So I filmed that, and I filmed myself walking down the road, trying to be as covert as possible so nobody could see this. And it's a big risk, to be honest. That was a big risk. So I get to the bus stop. The one bus, it never comes. So you may as well just walk the mile or 2 miles, whatever it is. You may as well just walk, because that bus doesn't show up. So I walk to the second bus, and that bus has passed me before. So I'm, waving my hand, making sure they stop. I get out there, and that bus takes me, and drops me off pretty perfectly to the park. So I'm very grateful for that. Very, very grateful for that. And honestly, I'm just thinking, oh wow, it's like 7:30 at night. I could go into the library, wash my hands, go pee. I could go to bed early. I'm so grateful. To be able to go to bed early and just have some time to myself, and not have any worries or anything that I'm trying to get done, or but that's not gonna happen. So I get back, but I had actually taken my tarp off the tent that morning before I left, because it leaked all over. I thought the tarp would cover me from the rain, but somehow there's water all over in my tent and along the walls, and got my bedding wet and stuff like that. And so somebody mentioned mold, and so took the whole tarp off and aired it out all day. I was worried about that throughout the day, because when you leave things open like that, it's just easier for somebody, to come take the tarp thing, in there. Oh, she doesn't want it, but they know you do. But anyways, I just, so I got back, I had to reattach the tarp, do all that stuff, fold it the way I do, blah, 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 blah. And then I was starving, I hadn't eaten all day. So I went and grabbed something out of my tent, and I was gonna head across the way so I could eat. And I missed the bathroom at the library, so wanted to go over to Bristol Farms, eat, and wash my hands and go pee and stuff like that. On my way over, another lady stops me, which, I love her, but it's like, I love her, and I don't mean to say but. What I'm trying to explain is that this is how it is, right? I'm on my way over there, and then she's like, oh, Sage, this and this and this happened, and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm talked out, right? Because I've been hearing and talking about stories all day long with different people, and I'm talked out. But this is the thing, right? Like, everybody's got so much going on, and they really need somebody to listen to them. So it's like a water faucet. You can turn it on and they'll just talk for like 2 hours, no break. Kind of like I'm doing here. But you guys did ask for this. Anyway, so she just talks, and she was asking me, like, this was actually a back and forth conversation. Some of them are not. And again, it's not a bad thing. Like, this is actually one of the solutions. I believe that if you want to solve homelessness, there's a few solutions, and this is one of them. Just listen to people. So, and I'm sorry, I don't do eye contact with the camera a lot. I'm sorry, I look off to the side, but it's just my personality. So I talked to her, told her about my day and my friend, and she wanted to know, and this was a back and forth, and then she told me all this stuff. But it was just, so it was 8 o'clock, and then I finished talking with her about 9:30, and I still had to make a phone call to, because I'm trying to go another route to help my friend. because these organizations aren't functioning well. So she did let me use her phone. I went over and made a phone call, and then, you know, finished with her. Then on my way over to Bristol Farms to go to the bathroom and eat for the first time that day, there's a Tahitian man in an RV that likes to talk and likes to rant about the government. So, and he did actually share his food with me the other day. He's an unbelievable cook. And so I did want to say thank you to him as he was, you know, I didn't want to just briskly walk past him. Thank you to him as he was, you know, standing there at his RV. And so I said thank you, but I knew this was opening me up. So spent another 45 minutes with him. And normally I would have, because I don't back out of the conversation very well. So normally that would have ended up being an hour and a half. But I did tell him, say, look, I have not eaten all day. I need to get to Bristol Farms before they close to go to the bathroom and everything else. So, and my time might be off as far as the watch, because actually Bristol Farms closes at 10 or 11. So anyway, but so he let me go. I went over there, I went pee. Inside there is another guy from the park. So he's chatting and chatting. They kick us out. So I go out with him. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go over to Goodwill because they leave stuff behind there at night. I'm gonna go through and see if there's anything I want. And I'll come by your tent if there's anything that you need. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. So this is 11 o'clock or something at night. And I'm like, I you know, I'm grateful for it, but I really do have most of what I need per se. And but he's the guy that gave me these shoes, which completely saved my feet for the most part. So anyways, but I said I'm gonna go to bed. So I had actually done the video from yesterday, and that morning I wanted to upload it at some point during that day, because the day was so long, I decided to not upload it at midnight, which I have done with the other videos, but I thought, no, I'll wait till the afternoon the next day. So that's the way it went. And got in my tent, you know, put all my blankets on. They were dry now, but they're very cold. That's the thing, they're very cold. What happens is, even if I'm fairly warm, which I'm not necessarily fairly warm right now, last night it was very cold, so I was not warm. But even when I get in there, it's almost like the blankets take all of my body heat, what little I have, to heat the blankets up, and then they try to give it back to me. And this process takes, like my feet, I've always had bad circulation, so to warm my feet up will not be done under 2 hours if they're cold. And most of the time it's 3 to 4. So, but I do not sleep with cold feet or a cold nose. It's just my reality. So it takes me a while to go to bed, and that's one reason why I'm very grateful when I can get in there early. So that's it. That's the video. That's the day in the life. And I'm telling you, so many of these days are like that. And I wish I could take the video camera around, because it's 1,000 times better to show you rather than tell you. And you would get to know these people and their experiences, which are also mind-blowing and also amazing, and you'd have different characters rather than just me, and you'd get to see the environment and everything. And I really wish I could show that to you, but I just can't do that right now. I just can't, and wish I could. But like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so it can tell you when my next video is. Please tell as many of your friends about it as possible. And thank you so much for everything you do, for the prayers for me, the prayers for my friend. Thank you, guys.